So the next stage of Duane AJ's reality TV journey was BBC3's Young Dumb and Living off Mum, where his music career took a turn for the worse.
So I want to touch upon this next show, which was Young Dumb Living off Mum. I think this one is going to be a little bit harder to talk about, and my experience in this show, as it wasn't how I wanted it to come across. It wasn't what I thought reality TV was going to be all about. Yeah, it kind of ruined my career for the next three to 4 years of music. So I applied for the show. I remember at the time I was in a boy band, so I applied and had lots of phone interviews, lots of chats. I even had someone come down and interview me and take some video footage, which I thought was all exciting. And then I found out it was Young Dumb Living off Mum Series 2, which I've watched the first series and thought, oh, that looks like a lot of fun, and I think I went in there thinking this is going to be a lot of fun, this will help my music career. I have no idea why I thought that. I think I thought at the time any publicity is good publicity, which also, again, completely wrong. Then I found out I wasn't going to be in it. I was really disheartened, and I thought to myself, well, okay, what am I going to do? And I remember going around looking for jobs and stuff at the time and trying to get into something. So eventually they called me back and said, we've had a bit of trouble, one of the contestants, and we would like you to come up to London and be in the show. So they came down from London, they picked me up. I literally had one night to pack my stuff, get everything together, get on a plane and go straight to the house. I literally was picked up and thrown right into it. I wasn't ready at all. I had all this planned of how I was going to come across and how I wanted it to look, and how I wanted myself to physically look, and I didn't have time because it was very, very quick. It kind of went downhill from there, really. I remember being really upset. I wasn't literally ready for that sort of show and environment. It wasn't what I thought it would be. There was a lot of interviews made in the show, and we were asked questions and asked again, and then words started getting put into my mouth. Maybe, this is how you feel, and maybe this is how you should say it, and maybe just say it like this. And then you would try and go along with that, but if you didn't get it exactly how they wanted it, they would make you do it again. I look at myself now, and I remember thinking it was funny, and then after the show finished, I thought, actually, is everyone going to have the same sense of humour? Are they going to find this funny? And, I was actually quite upset as well on the second episode of how I came across, because, it was definitely made out to look worse because of the fact that I wanted to leave. And there was a lot of times they had to convince me to stay because they'd already had somebody walk out of the show. It wouldn't have looked good for two people to be walking out. So, and being so young, I was easily influenced to stay. It just wasn't a very nice experience for me at all. So when I say coming across bad, this was one of those parts of the show that made me look worse than the actual way it was filmed and broadcasted. This part of the show was definitely made 100 times worse than it actually was. So yeah, in the end, when I was eventually out of the show, it was time to go home, back to reality. So after all of that, and like I said, watching it back, I kind of made myself feel like, You know, was this for me? Did I enjoy this? You know, how it doesn't look good. It did not look good. I mean, I was swearing. I just didn't care. You know, being 21 and living in this sort of lifestyle, I didn't care how I came across. And the way I did was not the way I wanted to come across at all. You know, my mum was on it as well, and I always say I'm always so grateful for the fact that she, you know, took part in this. You know, she wanted to make me happy, and she did it for me. She hated being the centre of attention. You know, she didn't like being on the cameras. She didn't want to do it. You know, and she also said that it was easier to, you know, make us look as bad as they wanted when it came to showing them the footage of us that day. Mum also said that when it was down to voting for people to be out, you was only allowed an option of four of us, you know, so it was 3 always in the bottom 3. So, yeah, you only had the option of a couple of people. The producers wanted to keep me in the show because of the fact I was causing so much tension, like, you know, in the house, and people, because I'm quite different, you know, and I think they found that, you know, quite, I don't know, they just didn't like me at all. Which was quite hard to take. So I remember thinking at the time, oh, I'm going to go and make some friends. This is going to be really fun. You know, and it wasn't. But I am like Marmite. You know, a lot of the time my personality is people do really love me or they really, really hate me. It kind of goes either way. Especially at 21, you know. I remember packing my bags quite often in the show and just saying, look, I'm going. I'm not staying here anymore. This is not what I wanted to do. This isn't really what I thought it was going to be like. But I was convinced many, many times to stay, unpack my bags and stay. And I remember every eviction, I said, look, it's time for me to go. I'm happy to go. Just kick me out. And they wouldn't. And I remember on the last one was like, look, if I don't go, then I'm not staying. So in the end, I said to my mum, you have to vote me out. I can't stay in this hellhole any longer. Just get me out. I really wanted to go. If I watch it back now, I look at that young 21-year-old boy of me, and I think you were so young and naive. You wasn't ready for that type of show. It wasn't the best idea to get ahead in my career, which was, you know, I didn't want to be a reality TV star. I wanted to pursue music, and that there was not the right thing for me at all. I do look back and think I feel really sorry for him. Sometimes it upsets me, and I do find that I can't watch it because I was going through so much stuff, and it kind of always makes me remember those times. And I don't regret going in, because you should never have regrets. If anything, you should learn by life, and you should learn by certain things. I wouldn't say I would never do reality TV shows like that again. I would be more choosy on what I decided to do. It is a really hard topic to talk about. I'm not going to lie. It's like I said, it wasn't one of my biggest highlights of my life. It was something really, really difficult. And afterwards, you know, we didn't get any help from anyone. You know, it was just, we was left to just get on with it. And I don't really like talking about it, to be honest. So this is the first time that I've actually had to sit down and think about it and discuss how I felt. And it wasn't nice. It really wasn't. And, you know, I'm glad I done it, and I've learned. I learned by my mistakes, and I learned that you can't always go into these things and think everything's going to be okay. I mean, after the show, there was quite a few press cuttings, radio interviews for me, and at the time I remember thinking, this is the time now where, you know, I've had that limelight, and now I just want to promote my music, you know. But obviously, trying to promote music after coming across looking that bad, no one wants to buy it. My music's not doing very well, and it was quite horrible. I had people coming up to me, and, you know, they would forget about me on the X Factor and how well I came across on that, and how everyone would congratulate me in the street, to going back down, you know, and everyone would be really negative and really negative online, I had a lot of death threats sent to my post, sent to my house. Online, I had a lot of people, you know, taking the mick out of me for what I had come across like. It wasn't a nice experience, and it really put me off reality TV altogether. You know, hence why I never decided to go on Big Brother. Like, for anyone who thinks that's a good idea, you know, it's not. I mean, having a lot of publicity, like, you know, radio interviews, newspaper cut-ins, online interviews. Also, sometimes it wouldn't be an interview. Sometimes people would just write up a story and create what they wanted you to come across as, like that. I mean, one of my highlights from the show, that I got to go in Heat magazine. I think we should just call that. That's a wrap, I think, on this subject. I think.